Hello there, this is James Uscroft, RT78, and if you've already watched the rest of the videos in this series, particularly the second and the fifth, links down in the underbar, then you understand that far from being defined by the wearing of swastikas, jackboots or black shirts, the truncheoning of the underclass, seeking to exterminate Jews or other undesirables, or even throwing milkshakes which you falsely claim to have been filled with quick-drying cement, fascism is simply the final terminal stage of insecure white boy syndrome, which is to say it is merely the most extreme manifestation of the existential fear peculiar to straight, white, cisgendered men and our token supporters that the other is taking the privilege and entitlement which we perceive to be rightfully ours and declaring us to be the obsolete bad guys. Because while insecure white boy syndrome can manifest as absolutely anything from spiteful rage against women who don't want to have sex with us to rage at leftist feminazi game designers making female characters' breasts smaller, and from race realism and gender skepticism to legitimate concerns about the scale and sustainability of immigration and multiculturalism, it is no coincidence that fascism is all of this how dare you call it misogyny, homophobia, transphobia, racism, xenophobia and so forth, all rolled into a petty and infantile demand for the straight, white, cisgendered men of the world in general, and of our country in particular, to be recognised as being inherently superior and the builders of civilization, along with the even more pathetic and infantile cry that we are being oppressed, degenerating into a violent and authoritarian rage against the other and the elite, manifesting itself in the demonisation of and yearning to destroy everything that they collectively label as the left, with the left, of course, being literally anything and everything which makes the insecure white boys in question and their token supporters feel uncomfortable, threatened and judged, from socialism and immigration to feminism and the gay agenda, and from saying happy holidays to Nike hiring Colin Kaepernick, and the new 007 apparently being a black woman. And with, as I mentioned in the second video in this series, the difference between a successful and an unsuccessful fascist movement, for lack of a better term, being largely a matter of whether or not they choose a single enemy onto which to project all of their impotent white boy rage. So this being the case, I state without fear of contradiction that the Brexit Party here in the UK is fascist, because like the support of Trump in the US, it is a populist movement which, far from actually seeking to represent and benefit the entire population, or even the majority as the term may suggest, is based entirely upon the nebulous and constantly shifting fear, distrust and hatred of the other and the elite among those who perceive themselves as being the true citizens, because they have a self-righteous sense of divine entitlement and inherent superiority, weaponizing nostalgia by repackaging the longing to drive out the other and the elite as the yearning for the good old days that never actually existed, in which women, coloureds and foreigners with inferior customs and religions knew their place and perverts kept it in the bedroom, longing to create a new golden age in which the naturally superior true citizens lead the nation to achieve its divinely ordained destiny, no longer being corrupted, undermined, or held back by the degenerate forces of the left and the elite, inspired and guided by a demagogic figurehead who has literally no policies, no plan beyond make the bad things go away and we will be awesome again, and no clue how to put his absurd pipe dreams into action, running in the European elections without a manifesto, and to the best of my knowledge, still having yet to publish one, simply demanding that we leave the EU without a deal, when the European Parliament has no say over such issues, and the Westminster Parliament is currently deadlocked, meaning that ultimately the only difference between them is that while Trump still has yet to identify and target a single enemy of the people, attacking the fake news media in one tweet and immigrants and refugees meaning scary brown people in the next, Nigel Farage has targeted the European Union, a decision which has allowed him to coast on the high tide of fortune up until now, milking his European Parliament expense account and basking in the glory of being the singular face of the Brexit movement, but may soon come back to bite him in the arse, because as I explained in the fifth video of this series, the reason why fascism can never actually win is that as a direct result of being built upon nothing but projected insecurity and rage, it cannot exist without an all-powerful and malevolent, yet at the same time weak, incompetent and degenerate enemy to attack and to blame for everything. After all, as soon as they slay the dragon, they're forced to confront the reality that it was made of straw all along, that it was never the cause of their problems, that nothing has changed, that the tide of progress is still rising against them, and that they're still the same insecure losers that they always were. And so, ironically enough, the best thing that can possibly happen to the party that exists for the sole purpose of ensuring that we leave the EU without a deal would be for us to remain, allowing them to rage forever against the injustice and the betrayal, and to gain a permanent foothold in Parliament. And on the flip side of that coin as well, the worst thing that could possibly happen would be for us to actually leave the EU without a deal, because the moment that it happens, the party no longer has a single reason to exist. And beyond that as well, when the triumphant high has finally worn off and the how dare you call us fascists look around and realise that no, nothing has changed. Immigrants are still coming over here, stealing our jobs and our women and talking foreign. Muslim women are still wearing hijabs and niqabs. LGBTQIA plus people still exist and refuse to get back in the closet. Neoliberalism is still dead. Its decaying, stinking zombie corpse is still destroying the planet and causing grotesque inequality and poverty, meaning that democratic socialism is still becoming the mainstream, and they are still becoming increasingly obsolete in a world in which being straight, white, cisgendered and male is ceasing to mean anything at all. They'll either need to finally get over themselves, or find a new straw man onto which they can project all of their frustrated and impotent rage.
Well, I sure hope somebody picks up that phone, because I f***ing called it!
And all the girlies say I'm pretty fly for a white guy.